Hello, 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 hello. My name is Ashley Kirkwood. I am the host of the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. I'm also the owner and founder of a firm called Mobile General Counsel. I am coming at you all with a solo episode today to talk a little bit about the 10 biggest lessons that I've learned since being in business. So let me just set this up. We have celebrated more than 100 episodes on the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. So for the next few episodes, I'll be coming at you with some solo episodes to share my biggest wins, losses, lessons, and maybe even some leaders that have really inspired me along that journey. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Share this out. Tag an entrepreneur. Tag every entrepreneur that you know in this video. Tag every speaker that you know in this video, because these things that we're going to discuss today are relevant to both of those audiences and folks who are interested in making speaking a serious income stream, because that's what we do here at Speak Your Way to Cash, and those are the types of guests that we bring to you. I will not be before you long. So this will be a rapid fire episode with the 10 biggest lessons that I've learned, and the order of these may actually change. I have some notes here, but as I think through this, some of this may change. So I guess the biggest lesson that I've learned, all right, the biggest lesson that I've learned in running my speaking business for the past several years and growing that business, we grew over 400% last year in terms of revenue. And so there's been some lessons that we've learned. One, my biggest lesson, and this is still something that I'm growing through every single day, hiring is tough, okay? Hiring is tough. And I think that there's this notion out there that when you hire, it is a symbol of success. It means that you have so much money in your business that you can afford to give some away. And I put that in air quotes for those of you listening to this, to other people. But hiring is really tough. And I think that I approached it haphazardly in the past. And I wasn't always clear on the KPIs that I wanted out of every single hire that I had. In the very beginning of my business, ironically, I think I did a better job of hiring because I was in such a position that I needed to make money. Like I needed to make the money. I had a sense of urgency about my revenue goals, right? And I think as you make more and more money, you get a little bit more comfortable. It's like, okay, this is a good month. We'll see what happens. But in the very beginning of my business, when I left my $300,000 job to zero clients and zero immediate prospects, right? I knew that whoever I hired had to come on board and help the company make money. As time went on, I got a little more lax with that. And I think that that was a mistake. I should have had a really clear way for every single person. My first 10 hires, I should have known exactly and clearly how success looked and how me spending that money was going to clearly help drive the company's revenue goals forward. Hard stop, period, point blank. And then I should have had a plan to communicate those key performance indicators with each and every hire that I brought on. And I didn't. And as the company grew, some people who were amazing in the very beginning of the company were not amazing as the company's growth kept going up, right? And I did not do the best job of leading internally. So I take full ownership over that. But hiring is tough. So the biggest lesson I learned in hiring is there should be a process that each and every person that comes into your organization goes through. That process should be standardized, repeatable, rinse and repeat. And you should have some soft skills that are non-negotiable and some hard skills that are non-negotiable, if you put it that way. But I didn't do that, right? So I think that was the biggest lesson that I learned, is like having a process. So some things that we did that made this a lot better was having a written and verbal interview process that occurred almost without me, but everyone went through it. And I think we've refined that process over time, and it's helped us to ensure that we are at least attracting people who at baseline can do the job. We've gotten better about knowing which soft skills we really value. We had a company retreat for my law firm not too long ago in Connecticut, and we actually wrote out our values for the first time. And, I had always written them out on my own, but not with a team. And one of the things that I love that came out of that value session was every single person that works for Mobile General Counsel, the firm that I founded, has an insatiable desire for excellence. Every single person that works there has an insatiable desire for excellence. And that is a core requirement, because I'm too type A, too anal, and too serious about my clients' businesses for me to hire someone who's chill about their own level of success, period. And so whatever we need to do to attract, retain, and promote people who have that insatiable desire for excellence, that's what we need to do. And that's on me to make sure we have the resources, the leadership, and the training to promote, retain, and recruit those people. That's my job. But then I got to make sure that there's a process by which to get those folks through the door, because I'm going to tell y'all, we have hired some people who have not had that insatiable desire, okay? And it does not work, point blank, period. So that is a value, it's a central value of both of the companies that I have founded, both Mobile General Counsel and Speak Your Way to Cash. And I think for everyone listening who's like, all right, I need to hire some folks, don't get caught up in hiring people to look successful. And I'm actually pausing here and just going to let that sink in. You want to hire people that, one, will drive revenue forward. So whatever their core function is, what piece of it is going to drive revenue forward? And this is when you're first starting the business. Now, when you have a huge company, yeah, you can have someone in the mailroom and, their relationship to driving revenue may not be as apparent. But when you're just getting started, those first 10, I would even say 20 hires need to have a beeline, okay, to driving that revenue forward, whether they are employees or contractors, particularly contractors, because those folks should be brought in because they have already a well-developed, clearly defined level of expertise. Now, I'm not going to put on my lawyer hat and tell you all the different elements between contractors and employees, but at bottom, they need to have that desire, okay? I'm gonna just leave that there, because hiring is tough. We could have a whole episode on the hiring mistakes that I made and the hiring wins that we had as well, because we do have some people who are exceptional that have worked here and that work here currently. So there's that. Number one, hiring is tough. Number two, the lesson that I learned is that, and this is, I've done this now, but I did not do this in the very beginning. Make a conscious decision about the type of leader you want to be, both internally and externally, and make sure that your decisions are flowing from that determination. So what I mean by this is there are some people who want to create a familial culture within their company. Everything's family, everything's lax, everything's chill. That's how they want to run. There are other people who are more about business, and that's me. I'm more like on the business side. Like I'm more business. Like we have KPIs, we have metrics. I absolutely adore and respect everyone that I work for, but then we are going to do the whole friend and family thing on our own time. That's kind of how I am as a leader. And I think that it is important to communicate how you communicate with people before you bring them on, and your communication style. It just is what it is. If you don't do that, you run the risk of having unmet expectations because you weren't honest about your leadership style. So I think deciding who you want to be as a leader at the outset is really important. And what I did not account for in starting Speak Your Way to Cash and it growing 400% in a year's time was that I'm going to have to lead. I'm going to have to lead both my clients, external leadership, and I'm going to have to lead my team members, internal leadership. And both of those require me to be the best version of myself, personal development and leadership, personal leadership. And on top of all this, I was like pregnant, having a baby in the middle of a pandemic. So the business grew, our family was growing. I was going through so much personally, and I did not give my obligations as a business owner and a leader the weight that they deserve. So if you've ever been there, totally feel you. But there are 3 areas that I really had to focus on consciously with my therapists, with my business coaches, with people that I've hired and brought on, different levels of consultants, are those 3 areas. So internal leadership, how am I leading people who work for me? How am I sharing the vision with them? Do I know what they want and desire at a really deep level? External leadership, how am I leading my clients? Am I supporting them in the way they need to be supported? Are they getting what they need to get out of the programs that they purchased from me and the coaching that I've provided? And then personal development and leadership, am I personally okay? Like when I wake up in the morning and I'm all alone, am I personally happy? Apart from everything else that I have going on? Those 3 areas require a lot of introspection, I will say. So that was a big thing for me as well. And then here's a third thing that I'm going to throw in here. You're going to need different people and different coaches. So you're going to need to hire various people to do maybe one thing. So when I first started the business, I thought like, okay, finances, I need a bookkeeper, hard stop. Like that was it. In reality, I needed a bookkeeper, an accountant, and then a tax strategist, all of which have different skill sets. And I needed to be ready to invest in all three of those individuals just to handle the financial side of my business. It's not going to be a one size fits all. A lot of my frustration in the very beginning of the business came from just thinking, I just hire one person to do all the things, and that doesn't work. As the team grew and more opportunities came, we needed to hire a variety of people to handle customer support. And I, looking at the numbers as a business owner, I was like, okay, do I really need this many people? What are they doing? What is happening? So just being prepared for the fact that sometimes it's not one person, it's five. And you just need to be prepared to do what it takes to hire those five people that you need. The other thing is the same goes true for coaching. So when I first started out as a business owner, I thought I could just hire a business coach. Like there's this one business coach that's going to really help me and grow my business and all that other stuff. And that's not the truth or the case. I have hired a variety of coaches that have helped with different aspects of my business. Some have been more transformative than others, but overall, I have just looked at them for various aspects of helping me move the business forward. Like I have an events person. I go to her to help with this one particular event and scaling that event. We had someone else that we went to specifically to help with our group coaching, instructional design and format, and making sure that was great. We had an HR coach and consultant that helped us with our hiring processes. And so there were a variety of different people that I had to hire. There was not one person that I needed to hire. And I think just realizing that was very helpful so that I wouldn't get frustrated when trying to hire one person and thinking that it was going to be them that changed the game for everything. So you may need different people for different things. The other big thing that I learned in growing the business, growing Speaker Ready to Cash, growing the podcast was this. And let me know if you all have ever thought this or dealt with this. You should plan your business after planning your life. After planning your life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once again, dropping all the gems. Thank you so much. Okay, look, plan your business or your career if you're listening to this. It works both ways after you've planned your life. So, and then stick with it, because here's what I did. Me and my husband, we do vision boarding. So we had done a vision board. We knew what we wanted out of our lives. We were like, all right, we want a vacation 6 months out the year. We want to at least travel every quarter internationally, and then we'll fill that in with some trips domestically. And I'm not saying we do this now, but I'm saying when we think of the ultimate vision of our life, these were some things that came out of that conversation. We want one child. Literally on my vision board before Christelle was born, it said child, okay? Not plural. One child. I wanted to write my book. I wanted to have a house that I love, that I like to be in. I want, like, all of these things we put on our vision board. So we planned this whole life. Here's where I made the mistake. I did not then go back and plan my business with the lifestyle that I wanted in mind. I allowed what I saw in the marketplace and the coaching advice that I was getting to, and these things aren't permanent, but there was a period in my business where I feel like I allowed the advice of others, even if it was well-meaning, to deter me from planning my business around the life that I was going after. Because again, most of us start businesses hoping that our business will not become a trap like our job was. At least that was my situation. You may love your job, keep your job, have your business, do both. But for me, it was like, all right, I don't love the life that I'm living on this corporate job. However, what I built was mirroring the corporate job. So it took away some of the freedoms and flexibilities that I always wanted. And the truth is, you can build a business around the lifestyle if you're conscious of it. So plan your life first. How many months are you on? How many months are you off? Who are your clients? How are you communicating with them? How often are you communicating with them? What does it look like? How many employees do you have? Do you have employees, or do you have contractors? And when you ask yourself all these questions, I think it all has to go back to, what life do you want to live? What type of impact do you want to have? Because you can very easily start building a job that you don't like, and you'll be right back to the same position you were in the beginning. At least that's how I felt, if I'm being 100% honest. So I think you should plan and this is what I do. Take it, maybe you learn from it, maybe you don't, right? You have to figure out your own life situation. But for me, I decided to plan my life and then plan my business. And then I would check my business to make sure it lines up with what I said I wanted in my life. Okay. I think I personally have felt that has been transformative to making me more happy in business and more happy in life. Okay. So number 5 is, advice is great, but you know best. So the big thing that I learned is that there are going to be a lot of people that give you advice and that give you their opinions, but there's going to have to be a point in time when you take the advice that the experts and the coaches and the consultants and the team is giving you, synthesize it, and then you make the best decision for your business. Because at the end of the day, when God, or I don't know what y'all believe in, but for me, when God gave me a vision for what I'm supposed to do in the earth to impact all the people that I'm supposed to impact, it was given to me. And so although I can take, and I love wise counsel, and I love when other people give me good advice and tips and all that other stuff, if you are not careful, you will allow the advice and the chatter that is external to infect the vision versus helping the vision grow. Okay. So I'm saying this to every single person who feels like, oh, I need a coach. Look. Let me tell you why I hire coaches. For ideas. I do not hire coaches to serve as a crutch for my vision. I do not hire coaches to validate my vision. I do not hire coaches to tell me if I'm doing it right or wrong necessarily. I hire coaches for ideas. And what I want to empower all of my clients to do, and some of them are listening to this right now, I'm going to give you my ideas. I'm going to give you strategies, tools, and tips. I want you to take that, and then I want you to do something that I believe the world has tricked a lot of people who look like me out of understanding. I want you to think. And then I want you to give weight to your thoughts, which means I want you to consider your thoughts to be valid and valuable. All right. And here's why this is so critically important for speakers. If this is making sense to you, just drop a yes in the comments. Okay. And then tag someone who needs to hear this PSA. Okay. When we as speakers, we sell our intellectual property. The reason speakers undervalue their intellectual property, their thoughts, their ideas, their frameworks, is because all your life, you have allowed other people's thoughts to have more weight than your own. And so it's very difficult for you to then go in front of a corporation and demand 6+ figures for one contract because you haven't given your thoughts in your own life enough weight to be important. Not only are your thoughts valuable, life-changing, transformative not only are they valuable in the theoretical sense, they are valuable in a literal sense. They're valuable, meaning that people should pay you money for the stuff that comes out of your head when it is packaged appropriately. Okay. This is the most critical lesson that I've learned that has helped me to sell millions of dollars worth of stuff, to change my life, to hire my husband. As of June 1st, we're providing health benefits for people outside of those within our family that work for us. This is what's allowed me to do it because I understand that the stuff that comes out of my head has weight and that I should be compensated at the highest levels for it. But if you don't believe that, and if you allow everybody's opinions to swing you over there and fly you over here, you'll never sit down at a negotiating table and demand a rate for stuff that came out of your head. And this is hard for people to do, especially people that look like me, because guess what? Everything in society tells us that unless someone else is vouching for it, oftentimes a white institution, it doesn't have value. See, I wasn't even going to go here today, but obviously somebody needs to hear this because I got a call soon. But let me tell you, let me just tell you guys this. The stuff that comes out of your head has so much value that if you don't understand the weight that it deserves, you'll never be able to negotiate a rate that will help you to change your life and the lives of those around you. So advice is great, but you know best. You know best. Now, assuming you've studied, you've prepared, all of that, you know best. You need to make sure that your words and your thoughts are given the weight that they deserve. Don't let anyone take that away from you. Okay. So the sixth thing that I learned is that friends are really important. I've always known this. I have great friendships that have lasted for decades, and I praise God every day for my friends. But in this entrepreneurial journey, you are going to need friendships. But what I will say is that there's different levels to this, right? I learned that I don't need friends for friends' sake, and I don't need friends to be in a cool crowd or for any of those superficial reasons. What I need are friends that are willing to tell me that I'm wrong so that they challenge those deep-rooted thought processes that have the potential to deter my destiny. I wanted like real relationships where we could be honest with each other and that are centered in integrity, because that is something that seems optional out here sometimes. And so I really think that friendship is key, but not because I want to go on a girls' trip and look cute, but because I want to be a better person. And I like when people hold me accountable to that. Thankfully, I'm married. So my husband is always down to hold me accountable. Okay, I don't know if any of y'all got husbands like that, but he's always down to hold me accountable. But I think that when you have good girlfriends that can do that, or good friends that can do that, that's really, really, really important as well. And that's been something I've really valued. 7, negotiate from a place of power, which kind of goes into lesson number 8 too, actually. But negotiate from a position of power. Before you enter into any negotiation, speakers for contracts, entrepreneurs for corporate dealings, when you're going on a call with a new client, you need to put yourself in the mind space that if it works out, amazing. If it doesn't work out, it's a blessing too. And that every single no gets you closer to the yes. If you can't negotiate from that position of power, cancel the negotiation, do it another day. In my experience, if I've ever gone into a negotiation with an ounce of desperation, I have cost myself $50,000+, right? And when clients come to me and want me to negotiate on their behalf, a lot of the reason is because they want to make sure that they can get someone who's not attached to the outcome in the same way that they are to go in and fight for them. So you got to negotiate from a place of power. And this has nothing to do with what's in your bank account. It has everything to do with what's in your mind. What's in your mind? What do you believe? Because whether I have had $0 in the bank or hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting on pretty in the bank, I have been able to show up with an equal amount of confidence. And the reason is I learned over time, trial and error, that your position of power isn't tied to your bank account. It's tied to your beliefs. Okay. So that's a little something there. Number 8 that I wrote down here is that wanting nothing gets you everything. Wanting nothing gets you everything. And this really relates to number 7, but as a principle, it's something that 50 Cent talked about in his book. I do not endorse everything that man does, but there were some principles that I liked in his book. But wanting nothing really does get you everything. Wanting nothing really does get you everything. When you can detach yourself from like, oh, I really want that client, I really want this account, I really want this, I really want that, and switch it to every single step I take, whether it gets me what I think I want or not, is getting me closer to where I'm supposed to be, you're going to be in a better position. If you feel rushed or stressed or pressed, it infects your ability to dream, plan, and execute. So wanting nothing really does get you everything. You have to, of course, make sure your basic necessities are met. But after that, you got to give yourself permission to dream a little bit and to be like, hey, I'm detached from the outcome. I'm detached from it. So wanting nothing gets you everything. And then number 9 is money is a tool. One thing that's kind of been irritating me a bit in the online space, and I haven't done it for this reason. I have a lot of clients that do very well, make a ton of money with the processes that we teach. Every day, though, you won't really see me talking about it all the time. And I don't know, there's opposition from me talking about my clients' wins all the time because I 2 things. One, I personally don't think that I don't think the money that you're going to make from working with me is the most valuable thing you're going to get out of working with me. I think the money that you're going to make is a byproduct of me transforming the way that you think about your life. I think that's the real value of people working with me, is that they come in with confidence that's like here and they leave with confidence that's like there, which means that even if I talked about my clients who made an extra 100 grand this week or 50 grand this week or whatever it is, that is like pennies compared to the lifetime value that they're going to get from realizing who they really are. It's hard to put that into words. So, I mean, when I see coaches talk about that, it's like, oh, my client made 200,000. It's like, yeah, they did. But really, to be honest, now this is controversial, but I'm gonna just tell you all the truth. When someone makes a lot of money after working with a coach, it's typically not because of the coach. It's typically because the coach unlocked the thought process or taught them a skill that they utilize. But I don't send a single pitch for my clients. They do that. They make that money because they made that money. Now, what I am partially responsible for is transforming the way they think. So I probably should talk a little more about the money because that's what people think is so important. But for me, money is a tool. That's a lesson that I learned. It's a tool. And if I really wanted to focus on just making money, I could do that. But the most valuable thing to me is like, am I thinking different? Am I growing personally? Do I have time, space, and energy to do the things that I love to do? So money's important, but it's just a tool. It's just a tool. And be wary of people who try to sway you to working with them or engaging with them solely based on the money they're going to help you make. Because the truth is, you need to learn how to think so that you can go out and make your own money. Okay. But yeah, my clients make money. So there's that. 10. The 10 thing, I'm trying to read my own handwriting, guys, who's listening to this on the podcast. Let me see what is the 10 thing. Okay. The 10th thing that I learned is that sales planning is the most critical piece to owning and running a successful business. Sales planning is the most critical piece to owning a successful business. And what does that look like? For me, that means at any given time, every quarter, I have had to reevaluate who are my clients, what am I selling them, does it make sense, and what are my profit margins? In addition, I ask myself, what are the outbound ways I'm going to attract new clients this quarter? And what are the inbound ways that I expect them to come to me? So like, am I doing op-ed pieces and I'm going to get clients that way? Am I doing more live videos and I'm going to have clients that way? So having a sales plan is critically important. Writing that down every quarter has been really transformative for me. But the sales planning is really, really, really important. So I've gone through in this episode 10 lessons that I've learned, things that have been really helpful for me. And I think my next one may be like 5 or 10 losses that I've incurred over the course of my business that taught me a lot. So we'll talk about that. And then 2, for all of you all who are listening, you should 100% join me for 3 days of coaching and transformation at Speak Your Way to Cash Live. Just go to speakyourwaytocash.com/event. Make sure you get your ticket. It's in November. We're already selling tickets. We are going to sell out months in advance. We do every single time we do this event. It is the most affordable way for you to spend 3 days with me. I think it's like, even after early bird, you'll be able to get in for around, I don't want to say the price because we haven't released the non-early bird prices, but you have until the end of this month to take advantage of early bird pricing. Early bird pricing, if you pay in full, is under $1,000. You're not going to get 3 days with me at that rate anywhere else. So make sure you're there. And it is for you if you are a speaker, consultant, thought leader, expert, or anyone else who wants to make speaking a real revenue stream in your business. We specifically teach speakers how to land 5- and 6-figure corporate speaking contracts and how to get the confidence and language they need to think differently about their businesses so that they are always moving towards growth. Okay. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, a 3-day experience, unlike anything you've ever been to before, I can almost guarantee that, then you need to go to speakyourwaytocash.com/event. If this episode was helpful, these tips were useful, you got something out of it, shoot me an email at ashley@ashleynicolekirkwood.com. And I would be more than happy to hear what you love most, any lessons that you've learned. And if you have an episode you want me to do while we're doing these solo episodes for the next several months, then shoot that over to ashley@ashleynicolekirkwood.com. Thank you all so very much for joining me again. Tag a speaker, entrepreneur, thought leader who needs to hear these tips and these lessons, and check out the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast for more. If you've gotten anything out of any of the 100 plus episodes that we have aired on this channel, then drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. It just helps us to continue to bring you the most up-to-date, relevant content and world-class guests. All right. So I will see you guys next time. I'll be going live more. And I'm excited to see what results and wins you all get from all this information we're going to be putting out this year. And I will see you at Speak Your Way to Cash Live in November. Talk to you all soon.